Welcome to another deep dive. You know we love to get into the details of these big cultural shifts, and today it's all about fatherhood.
Yeah.
Specifically, how Gen Z is changing the game.
Right.
We've got this super interesting article called Redefining Fatherhood, how Gen Z is shaping the role of dads for the next generation.
Shaping the role of dads, yeah.
I'm really excited to dig into this and, kind of unpack how their values and experiences are shaping what it means to be a dad these days.
Yeah, and I think it's more than just interest. It's a significant cultural shift. I mean, we're really seeing a move away from that, that old dad is the distant breadwinner stereotype.
Totally. It feels like a much more hands-on approach
Yeah.
and definitely more emotionally engaged. I'm curious to know, what's driving this change?
Well, the article points to a couple of things. First, there's a really distinct move from provider to partner. Gen Z dads are all about shared responsibility, both, in practical terms, like, who's doing what around the house, but also when it comes to emotional connection.
That makes a lot of sense. So instead of just being the authority figure, they're becoming like true partners in raising kids.
Exactly. Yeah. And this shift isn't, just happening in a vacuum.
Right.
It really reflects, these larger societal changes. Things like, evolving gender roles and a greater emphasis on emotional well-being, even for men.
For sure. The article also talks about some of the core values that Gen Z has and how they're kind of influencing their approach to fatherhood.
Yeah.
And they mention things like inclusivity, vulnerability, and emotional intelligence. Those are some pretty big concepts to unpack.
They are big concepts, yeah. Let's maybe start with inclusivity. This generation is just incredibly open to diverse family structures. So we're talking single-parent households, same-sex couples, blended families. They just really understand that family comes in many forms.
Yeah.
And it's the quality of those relationships that truly matters.
Yeah, so rather than clinging to those kind of outdated norms, they're saying, hey, let's support whatever makes a family happy and functional.
Right. And then you mentioned vulnerability. Gen Z dads seem much more comfortable, expressing their emotions, showing that, it's okay to not be okay. And that's a huge departure from, previous generations where men often felt pressured to just suppress their feelings.
That really resonates with me. And it makes me think about how this could impact their kids. If boys in particular see their dads being open about their struggles, it could make a huge difference in how they approach their own emotional well-being.
I think you've hit on something really important there. By modeling vulnerability, these dads are teaching their children, that it's healthy to express their emotions. It's healthy to seek help when needed.
Totally. The article also highlights emotional intelligence, which I think is fascinating. So how does that play out in their approach to fatherhood?
They're not just, going through the motions of parenting. They're really making a conscious effort to understand and respond to their children's emotional needs.
Okay, so it's not just about providing food and shelter. It's about truly connecting with your kids on an emotional level.
Precisely. And research suggests that, this type of parenting can actually lead to stronger parent-child bonds and better outcomes for children in terms of, their own emotional development and their social skills.
We can't talk about Gen Z without acknowledging the elephant in the room. Technology.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, they're digital natives, right? So it only makes sense that technology plays a role in how they approach fatherhood.
Absolutely. So we're talking social media, parenting apps, online communities.
These are all tools that, Gen Z dads are utilizing to connect with each other, to share advice, to find support. It's like a global network of dads at their fingertips.
Yeah. And what's really interesting to me here is how technology aligns with their value of inclusivity.
Yeah.
The article mentions how social media allows dads to see and share different parenting styles.
Right.
Which kind of normalizes this idea that there's no one right way to be a father.
You're spot on. It creates this space where dads can, learn from each other. They can challenge these traditional notions of masculinity and just feel more comfortable being themselves.
It also seems like Gen Z is much more open about mental health.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly important, especially, in the context of fatherhood.
Oh, absolutely. We are seeing like a major shift in how this generation approaches mental health. They're so much more willing to talk about their struggles, to seek professional help, and just break down the stigma that's been, long associated with mental health issues, especially for men.
And that openness, that willingness to seek help can have such a positive ripple effect, not just for the dads themselves, but for their kids, their partners, their families as a whole.
You're absolutely right. It sets such a powerful example for their children, teaching them that it's okay to talk about their feelings. It's okay to ask for help when they need it.
For sure.
And that's just a valuable life lesson that can have a profound impact on their future well-being.
So it's really encouraging to hear about this, this shift in attitudes toward mental health. But shifting gears a little bit, let's talk about the day-to-day realities of parenting. It seems like Gen Z dads are just much more hands-on than previous generations.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing a significant increase in paternal involvement across the board. I mean, these dads aren't just, like helping out.
Right.
They're fully engaged, in the nitty-gritty tasks of parenting.
Okay.
So we're talking feeding, bathing, changing diapers, doing laundry,
Yeah.
taking the kids to doctor's appointments.
It's almost like those traditional lines between, like mom's duties and dad's duties are starting to blur.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of this has to do with the rise of co-parenting, where couples are sharing parental responsibilities more equally. So we're seeing more fathers taking paternity leave, working flexible hours, and just making a conscious effort to be active participants in their children's lives from day one.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, this brings to mind the point about evolving gender roles.
Yeah.
As dads become more involved in childcare, it really challenges those old assumptions about who does what in a family.
It does. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Shared parenting not only benefits children,
Right.
but it also creates, more equitable dynamic within the family.
Yeah.
Which, can lead to greater relationship satisfaction for both partners.
For sure. Now, we've touched on, the impact of this shift on families, but I'm also curious about the broader societal implications. The article mentions the increasing acceptance of diverse family structures. So how does that tie into, this redefinition of fatherhood?
It's all deeply interconnected. Gen Z's embrace of diverse families, single-parent households, same-sex couples, blended families, it's really changing the very image of what a father looks like.
So it's no longer bound by that traditional nuclear family model.
Right. And this acceptance is, it's fostering adaptability, communication, respect for different perspectives in children. It's helping to create a generation that's just more open-minded and inclusive.
It sounds like we're witnessing a cultural shift that goes beyond just fatherhood. Like it's impacting our understanding of family, relationships, even gender roles as a whole.
It is. It is. And these changes are starting to influence policy as well.
Oh, interesting.
We're seeing this growing push for more equitable parental leave policies and flexible work arrangement that really support both mothers and fathers.
It seems like society is slowly starting to recognize that dads need support too, not just moms.
And that's crucial. To truly support involved fatherhood, we need structural changes that allow men to prioritize family without, facing professional penalties.
For sure. For sure. So we've got, Gen Z leading the way in this evolution of fatherhood. But how do we ensure that these positive trends continue? The article really emphasizes the importance of mentorship.
Yeah, mentorship is key, especially for new fathers, who might be navigating uncharted territory. So experienced dads, whether it's family members, friends, even figures in the community, can offer valuable guidance, encouragement, just a listening ear.
It's almost like a passing of the torch,
Right.
like sharing knowledge, offering support, and just normalizing this new approach to fatherhood.
And it's not just about practical advice. It's about showing younger dads that they're not alone in this journey. It's about creating a community where they can feel seen, heard, understood.
Now let's kind of zoom out for a moment and reflect on the big picture here. Like, what are the key takeaways? What can we learn from Gen Z's approach to fatherhood?
I think one crucial takeaway is that fatherhood isn't, a static concept.
Right.
It's evolving. And that evolution is a positive thing. It's about moving beyond these outdated stereotypes and embracing the idea that men can be nurturing, they can be emotionally present, they can be actively involved in all aspects of parenting.
It's about recognizing that being a good dad doesn't mean conforming to some rigid, predefined role.
Right.
It's about finding your own way to be present, to be loving, to be supportive.
And it's about understanding that this new model of fatherhood really benefits everyone.
Yeah.
It leads to stronger families, more balanced relationships, and a more equitable society.
So as we move forward, what can we do to support these positive changes in fatherhood?
Yep.
What actions can we take, both individually and collectively?
That's a great question. On an individual level, I think we can start by just, examining our own beliefs about fatherhood. Let's challenge those outdated notions of what it means to be a man or a dad and embrace, the full spectrum of human emotion and experience.
We can also be more mindful of the language we use. Instead of praising dads for helping out with childcare, let's recognize and acknowledge their equal partnership in parenting.
Exactly. It's about changing the narrative,
Mm.
you know. Not just our individual actions.
Mm.
And on a broader societal level, we can advocate for policies that support working families. So things like paid parental leave, affordable childcare, and flexible work arrangements.
Yeah, these structural changes would really make it easier for fathers to be actively involved in parenting without, facing financial strain or career setbacks.
It's about creating a culture where dads are empowered and encouraged to prioritize family. And while policy changes are crucial, we can also make a difference in our everyday lives by just, supporting the dads in our own communities.
How so? What are some practical ways we can do that?
You know, Simple acts of appreciation and encouragement can go a long way. Let's acknowledge the hard work that dads are doing, offer a helping hand when needed, and just create a space where they feel comfortable sharing their experiences, their challenges.
It's about creating a community of support, not just for dads, but for families as a whole.
You've got it. Fatherhood is a journey, and we all have a role to play in creating a world where dads feel valued, supported, and empowered to be the best parents they can be.
It's inspiring to think about the ripple effects these changes in fatherhood could have on future generations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about like a fundamental shift in how we view masculinity, family responsibility. It's a move towards a more balanced and equitable society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah,
I want to pose a question to our listeners. Something to ponder as they go about their day.
I like where you're going with this.
So the article we've been discussing, it focuses specifically on Gen Z, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
They're at the forefront of this shift. But it makes me wonder, what can other generations learn from Gen Z's approach to fatherhood?
That's a great question to consider. It really invites all of us, regardless of our age or stage of life, to examine our own beliefs about fatherhood and to be open to new perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, for some, it might mean having conversations with the dads in their lives, sharing these evolving ideas, encouraging them to embrace these new roles.
For others, it might involve, supporting policies that make it easier for fathers to be active caregivers, like advocating for, affordable childcare and flexible work arrangements.
And sometimes it might be as simple as acknowledging and appreciating the dads who are already stepping up, showing them that their efforts are valued and making a real difference.
Yeah, ultimately, it's about recognizing that this evolution of fatherhood is a collective effort.
Hmm.
Every step we take, no matter how small, can contribute to creating a world where fatherhood is defined by love, by presence, and genuine partnership.
Well said. That's a powerful message to end on. It's been an incredibly insightful exploration of this changing landscape of fatherhood.
It has, and I hope our listeners have gained a deeper understanding of how Gen Z is redefining what it means to be a dad and the positive impact those changes are having on families and society as a whole.
I think this deep dive has given us all a lot to think about. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those conversations going.
And to all the dads out there, keep being awesome. We'll see you on the next deep dive.